big, bearded mountain man approaches you out of the blue at your brother's funeral and tells you to call him if you need anything. Morgan's bright blue gaze did not even so much as flicker, and then forgets to leave you his number. She'd leaned the bike she'd ridden down the driveway against the porch, and the late afternoon sunlight crept across the green lawn that surrounded the West's sturdy two-story house. It was mostly in good repair, but he hadn't only been watching squirrels. He'd also used part of the waiting time to have a look around the place, and there were a number of things that needed doing.
Take care of Morgan,
the letter he'd received after the reading of Cal's will had said.
Once I'm gone, she'll have no one.
It wasn't exactly what Zeke had wanted to hear, but since he felt partly responsible for Cal's death, he owed the guy big time. Stupid of him to forget giving her his number at the funeral, but he hadn't been thinking straight. He wasn't the best at dealing with people on a good day, let alone a bad one.
So I did,
he said.
Well, you don't need it now. I'm right here.
Uh-huh. Morgan's stare narrowed. So, are you going to tell me why you're on my front porch, when your two friends who've been looking for you for weeks are back in the Happy Moose? Zeke had arrived in Deep River, the quirky little Alaskan town he and his two best friends had inherited after Caleb's death a couple of nights earlier. He'd made a camp for himself in a clearing in the bush just out of town. He'd preferred a bedroll to staying in a hotel since he always slept better on the ground. And yeah, he should have announced himself to Silas and Damon, the ex-army buddies that Morgan was talking about. But he wasn't a man who charged into a situation without doing a bit of reconnaissance first, which was what he'd been doing, reconnaissance of Deep River itself. Again, he was a man who took his time and didn't like to rush into things, especially given that oil reserves had been discovered underneath the town, and he knew for a fact that those oil reserves were of interest to certain people. People connected with him. Luckily, though, he'd handled that issue, so now the only things he had left to do were finish up his mission for Cal and then go see his friends. He'd figured that finishing up his mission for Cal and taking care of Cal's little sister was more pressing than seeing his friends. So here he was. Zeke dismissed the question of said friends for the moment.
I'll see them later. In the meantime, I'm here to make sure you're looked after.
Surprise rippled over Morgan's pretty face. Make sure I'm looked after? She echoed. Why would I need looking after? He shrugged.
Your brother asked me to.
Morgan's arms dropped. Oh, how wonderful. She didn't sound as if she thought it was wonderful. She sounded extremely irritated. I appreciate it, Morgan was saying. But as you can see, I'm pretty good right now, and I've been pretty good for a number of years, both with and without Caleb. Her response did not surprise Zeke. Cal had mentioned in his letter that his relationship with Morgan was a fraught one, and that she wouldn't appreciate someone muscling in on her territory, especially if she knew that Cal had ordered Zeke to. Of course, Zeke could have just not told her that part of it, but he wasn't a liar, and he didn't play games. He was straight up, and that's the way he preferred everyone else to be too. He eyed her. She did look pretty good, he had to admit, and in more ways than one. And it was also clear that she was annoyed about her brother. Then again, it had been his experience that people said one thing while meaning something else, so he could never take anything at face value.
You are, huh?
He said. Yes. She eyed him right back. So, you can consider your job done. At Cal's funeral and afterward, at the crappy bar they'd gone to, she hadn't seemed that great. She'd seemed small and vulnerable and folded in on herself with grief, which was why he'd offered to help her out. To be fair, though, that had been a couple of months ago. Now it seemed as if the worst of that grief was over, and he couldn't imagine a woman more competent.